Hi there friends, and welcome to my game review of the early access version of Siralim Ultimate. I'm Icon, and this video is going to be divided into two parts. In the first part I will describe the game as it is right now, and the second part will draw a few comparisons to the prequel of the game Siralim 3, and I'm going to talk about the things which have changed between now and its predecessor. So my goal is to give you a good glimpse over the game, so that you can decide quickly if you want to play it or not. So let's get started. At its core, Siralim is a team-building grind party JRPG. So I'll go here into a dungeon and show you what's up here. So you travel around the lands with a party of 6 monsters, and you see and visit other gods, look for their help, and kill monsters on the way. The story is quite, it's quite well written. I really like the tone the author takes, and the gameplay itself is mostly about this: killing monsters and training your own monsters meanwhile. The good thing about this game is it has an insane level of depth. To give you a small glimpse of that, every unit has a own unique trait, which is truly unique, but there are about 1,200 creatures in the game. Every creature also can wield an artifact with individualized bonuses. Everybody can learn at least 3 spells, which are also unique to the element, and that's only the start of the individualization of every unit. So at its core, you grind really a lot in this game, which is I would say definitely a must. If you want to play this game, you should love grindy games. Otherwise you won't be really happy here, because it's going to be a lot of repetition of monster slaying. I personally love collectathons and stuff like that, and Siralim 3 was already one of my favorite games to just chill out and grind some, and therefore I really like that. But I want to put that as a word of warning right up front, because some people might not like that. So after you have killed monsters, you can check them out in your Bestiary, and you see here I have 16 pages of monsters. So everything you kill, you can summon for your own team. Sometimes you must kill enemies more often or under certain circumstances, but basically everything in this game can be put into your own formation, and you can just play with it. So that's the gist of it. You run around in these domains and you can destroy everything, you collect things, you interact with stuff, and you collect new spells here, new materials to work with, and so on. I think the base principle here is quite clear, so let's get back into the base and talk about the rest of the game. Here, this is our own castle, where we can do various things, from summoning monsters over forming our own team at the menagerie. There's a fusion guy, which allows you to combine monsters into new creations, and even including a very wide array of color themes, and that's the basics behind that. You can go for lots and lots of character classes. Let's show you here in the character menu in the project. So wait a second, no, here. So these are all basically character classes. Everything here marked with specialization is a character class you can play. Every specialization features a own set of perks, which individualizes your playstyle. Here we're playing a necromancer, which is completely focused around summoning little minions to aid the monsters you use in combat, and all the perks here are aligned around that. So I already unlocked another specialization, so we go over here to the wardrobe, change another specialization, and we could also just from the scratch swap into the tribalist, who loves to assemble a lot of creatures from the same race, and so on and so on. There are really more options than you have possibly time to play the game. So this is really cool. And if you check out the Bestiary here, as you see, every monster has its own set of skills. You can also sort them by races. You see there are, I don't know, let's check out something which is not that foreign here. So bats, you see there are 3 different types of bats. They all interact with each other, and a lot of creatures have direct interactions with their own kind. I'm personally running here a monster right now, which casts lots and lots of corpse explosions whenever debuffed enemies die. The amount of combos is really only limited by your imagination. We got here the options to individualize everything, forging our own artifacts for the creatures, and so on and so on. This game is very, very feature heavy. So the longer you play it, the more features you unlock. And also, that's one thing I really want to emphasize here. The grind in the game always wanders. So at the beginning of the game, you need to level up your creatures by hand. By now, I can ask this guy to just level up my creatures to the maximum level I have so far unlocked. And it really doesn't cost too much. It's just using a few points of energy, which I have tons of. So at the beginning of the game, I had to level every creature manually, and then I didn't. And at some point later in the game, you will also, I guess, you will also have the option to destroy enemies automatically. I'm not sure if that's implemented yet, but it was a Siralim 3 feature, and so far, most of the Siralim 3 features were implemented here already. So, to summarize it, you play a insane Pokemon-esque party grinding collectathon, and it's a ton of fun. So you also get to decorate your castle. You have the decoration mode where you can just set up floors like you want them, set up backgrounds, rename the castle, and add decorations from all manner of things. You can unlock them all here by looting things. There are tons of skins, even skins for creatures. So it's a single player's dream if you really want to dive deep into these things. The pros I have now mentioned thoroughly. The cons behind this game are pretty clear. It eats time. This game needs a lot of time from you. So if you are short in time or generally looking for games which you can play with a smaller time budget, well, maybe you won't be happy with Siralim Ultimate. But nevertheless, you can basically just play an hour every day and still progress. That's no problem. But you might be a little bit unsatisfied. Also, another issue here comes with the insane complexity and depth. It is, well, something I like to call information paralysis. So sometimes I really don't change my team or my methods because I'm just awestruck by the insane amount of monsters in the Bestiary, and I'm like, I don't really want to read all this now, so I just stick with the guns I got. So this is one of the biggest issues I've seen so far with the game, but apart from that, it has a very, very deep endgame content, and the developer is really behind it to make it work better. And yeah, that's the first part of the video. Now let's talk about the differences between Siralim Ultimate and Siralim 3. So compared to Siralim 3, Siralim Ultimate is a very, very streamlined experience. A lot of things which really bothered me in the predecessor have been ironed out. So for example, in the past you had to extract monster cores from the enemies to actually get new monsters into your team. That part is completely gone. So back in the day, you had to perform an own action to extract cores from the enemies to summon them, and it was not really fun. It was really not really fun, and I'm glad that the dev has opted out on these concepts, so I'm really feeling good with that. Also, the perk system has been streamlined a ton as well. Back with Siralim 3, there were also specializations and classes that actually were specialized, but the perk list, as we see it here, was filled for every character class with a lot of basic stats, like attack for units, life for units, and so on and so on. These things are not happening anymore, and I really like it. The downside, you receive less perk points than in the past because, you know, the perks now are less, so the points are also less. Also, back in the day, you were able to farm perk points directly by just earning achievements and a lot of things. Now it's closely tiered to the story progression. I don't know how it's working after that because I'm not there yet. This account here is like around 25 hours of playtime, to give you an example of how much time I've already spent into that. And apart from that, most features I liked about Siralim 3 are already here. I've seen in reviews that the late game of this game is not there yet, but they're working on it. Also, I really enjoyed that a lot of things are more easy to keep track of, like the new currency screen is really looking good, and the Bestiary works a lot better, and apart from that, everything which was already working out well is still there. I really like that the God system now has a more flexible ranking system. Back in the day we had a few base ranks which you grinded through and then everything was pretty insubstantial. Now we have a steady progression where you get rewards to no end. So yeah, I really do like the changes so far, and I would put down a summary on the changes mainly in the game is way more streamlined and optimized into a more fun experience without, I strongly would emphasize it, without sacrificing too much complexity and depth. And I gotta say, I respect that. Considering that this game is still in early access and there is still a lot of work to do, still a lot of things to be expected here, I'm really enjoying it so far, because it's it might be a super grindy game, yes, but at the same time, sometimes I really love to play idle games or things that don't need much brain power from my side, and that's when Siralim really scratches my itch. But also, Siralim features a lot of things when I actively want to think about stuff and go for bigger challenges, because there are lots of methods to make your gameplay a lot harder. You don't need to mindlessly grind through things. There are also a lot of nice rewards. So compared to Siralim 3, I really enjoyed that you had access to challenge modes earlier. So to give you an example, let's teleport back. You can now go way earlier into these realm instabilities, which make the game harder. So you see here, there's a lot of things against you from there on, and this is really cool because Siralim 3 kind of like bored me out a little bit, because I had the issue that my critters were too weak to progress in the story, but already too strong to make the grind any entertaining. This game delivers way better on that end. Apart from that, more comparisons I can't draw yet, because 25 hours into this game are truly not a lot. It sounds a little bit weird, but we'll talk about that in a couple of 100 hours again. So I hope that was kind of helpful for you. Leave me a comment if you have any questions, or if you want to add up something which you feel like I left out here. You're very welcome to do so. Also, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, or even a subscription to my channel if you want to stay tuned for more content like that. Either way, I hope you have a nice day and have fun. See you soon. Bye-bye.